Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Behind the Veil, the show that gives you insight into the world of weddings. I'm your host today, Marcy Guttenberg, and we're going. Little side note, Keith Willard is out on vacation this week. He is off cruising around the southern. He's having a great time, and I wanted to let you know that if you wanted to ask any questions, you can go to our YouTube page. That is www.youtube.com. I'm going to put it on the bottom here. /C/Keith Willard events. So if you'd like to ask a question, please don't feel hesitant. Just pop right in and we may bring you up on the screen as well. So today, if you also want to make a thumbs up on our page, that would be wonderful. And today we're going to have a little bit of a change in our subject. We're going to talk about something called Am I Good Enough? Let's face it, at the last couple of years, we've had some challenges, and it's a way that we would never have been able to forecast. So for those who are just starting out, it's an entanglement of questions and issues that might be coming about. We're here to talk about anything from setting the price point, how much is too much. And for those of us veterans, there seems to have been a reset, and how much of it is who you are and how much do you know, how much do you want to make some changes in your life and so forth. So today we have the incomparable Bobbi Brinkman. She is a self-described bestie, a personal cheerleader to help you and your company get to the next level while being aware of equality on all levels. Bobbi's storytelling as a wedding photographer, motivational speaker, and business coach for weddings and wedding industry go-getters. Bobbi Brinkman has spent the last 40 years capturing authentic moments for fabbo couples wherever their love story is being told. Equally passionate about the work with creative entrepreneurs, empowering them to shift their mindset and step into their purpose and build a profitable, purposeful, and inclusive business they deserve while living their most authentic, their entire authentic life. Whether it's motivating audiences on stage or a one-on-one coaching, fabbo chats, as she calls it, you were meant for this approach. Inspires wedding pros to serve with intentions, build a CEO mindset and crush their business fears and goals, and gain confidence in themselves and their business. Bobbi also hosts the podcast called Be Fabbo, episodes full of motivation and candid conversations with creatives, sharing their stories that speak to the truth of both struggles and wins in building a wedding career. So let's bring on the fabbo, Bobbi. Hi, Bobbi.
Hello. Welcome.
Hello.
Thank you.
How are you today?
Absolutely fabulous. And you?
Great, thank you.
I love it.
Great. So I know that you're a wedding photographer and a motivational speaker, and you do some coaching and such.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit more about how you got into the industry and what inspired you to get into that industry.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me. So excited to be here. And anybody that joins in, thank you for taking your time and sharing the space with us. I know time is a valuable content for us. So anytime we can share space together, I appreciate that. I knew that I wanted to do something on my own. So I think I always knew I didn't want to work for somebody else. I think I always knew I was meant to do something, right? That's that positive mindset. I was meant to do something. Now, whether it's grand or great, I never set out to say, I will do this, but I knew that I wanted to capture things for people, like moments and stories. So there are photos of me with a camera way back when I was 6 or 7 years old. And I knew that craft was something that would freeze time. And that is a power. And power in photography, I get to be the historian of the day, whether it's a wedding, a birthday party, and even sometimes Saturday events. But I get to capture that moment that will live on for generations. And you know, Marcy, being in this industry, everybody looks at a wedding differently. Everybody went to that wedding and says, oh, I remember that, or I don't remember that. The same happens with a photo. So like while you might see something in this photo, somebody else sees something else. The power of photography is to bring you back to that moment of what you felt on that day. And on those days when it's rough and you might just feel not loved, if you pick up your wedding photo or any photo for that moment, you can hold it and remember everybody came to celebrate us that day. Look who all was there. And the inevitable happens that at a wedding, you know somebody's going to pass away. So I often have the last photo of somebody at a happy experience or a happy moment. So when you have your photo album or you have your wedding photos, you get to hold that person and go back and relive that day and all the other memories that go along with that person. So for me, that is something I knew I had to do. I wanted to be able to deliver that to other people. I just didn't know it might be wedding photography, but I knew it was going to be some sort of photography. And I knew that I needed to make a business out of it because even at a young age, I heard starving artist. I knew that whatever I did, I had to do my purpose, do it with passion, but also learn how to be profitable in doing that. So 40 years later, I'm still here. You never moved, but I'm still here.
Exactly. And what do you think is like, now that we're coming out of COVID, or so to speak, what do you think is the biggest challenge for the industry these days? What do you think is
I think the biggest challenge for us is not so much this boom. I mean, I'm known on record to not support this boom. I think it's a lot of leftover weddings, and I think that there's a lot of work. But I also think if we're not careful as business owners, and we're not going to be booking 2023 because we're so busy right now, or 2024, we need to make sure that we're serving those clients and getting ready. Because if this boom is here and it busts, we have to be ready. I think the challenge for us is to get out of that, well, I have so much work right now, it's okay if I don't talk to somebody. And how do I keep working safely? Because we know there's going to be these variants. This is here forever. We just have to adjust. We just have to adjust. So what are we going to do for ourselves to make ourselves mentally prepared and do whatever we need to do to keep ourselves healthy? But we have to step out going, I am going to do this. I am going to make my business move forward. I'm going to learn to work with COVID or whatever else comes around. And I need to make sure that I'm protecting myself now by taking on a few more clients a little bit later on and not getting so stuck in the, oh my gosh, I'm overwhelmed right now. I'm so busy. And I think I see so many saying, oh, I'm not going to worry about 23 and 24. You better worry about 23 and 24 because your bank account will be thanking you. Your home, your family, when you want to eat, we have to learn how to adjust. And all of a sudden we are busy again. And I think we've learned what's important and what we can let go, but we all like the money coming in. So we just have to be careful right now that we don't let this, oh my gosh, this boom take over the business sense that we have.
Right, because we don't know what's around the corner.
Right, exactly. We learned that the hard way, right?
Oh, yes. I mean, who would have known that it was going to last 2 years? I mean,
exactly.
You save for a rainy day, you prepare yourself for like, okay, what happens if the world shuts down for 6 months, but nobody anticipated 2 years plus.
It's like you broke your leg for 2 years and couldn't work, because we always have to think about that too. I mean, it's not so much what can happen out there. What happens to you if, and so you have to be prepared for that, So while this boom is hovering over us, don't be afraid to go ahead and plan. And I know a lot of wedding pros are like, I'm never going to book 2 years out anymore. I don't want to have to deal with that. Because I'm a destination photographer and I travel all over, I always have been 18 to 24 months. So we had 27 weddings in 17 different states that I had to work through all the green tape with, right? All the red tape with.
Right.
So I know I'm hearing a lot of wedding pros go, nope, I'm just going to book 6 months out now. I don't ever want to get that far. Well, if there's a boom, you're going to have to book 2023 because there's apparently no room for anybody to get married in 2022, right?
Exactly.
So what is that? What's the truth there? Is there a boom? Oh no, I'm not going to book anybody in 2023 or 24. We have to level that out and make it work for our businesses. And always, you have to make it work for your business, but just be mindful that before you say no to too many clients down the road, that someday you're going to be out of the boom and you want to still have work lined up if that's your desire to keep growing.
Right. And what would you say is, like, if you were to look back at your 16-year-old self,
Yeah.
What would you say to yourself now going forward? You probably kind of already answered it, but I'm going to put it out there anyway. And what would you say to yourself, or what would you say to somebody who's just breaking in the industry?
My number one thing that I speak on quite often is, and my 16-year-old self needed to understand, I pay myself first. I'm knocking on the 60-year-old door here, and why we all have those magic numbers of 62 and 65. Are you ready? And if 2020 and 2021 didn't show us, the 16-year-old self of me wish when I started getting my paychecks, I shot my first wedding at 16. I was in the newspaper at 16 and 17. I always had income coming in. I wish back then the 60-year-old self would have said, yeah, put half of that away. Do something, because I think we have to remember that if you want to make X amount of dollars, you have to make half as much more, because half's going to go to taxes. Where's all that go? And in our industry, we don't always talk about money. We talk about pricing, price and charge your worth and all those things, but we don't talk about when you get the money in from this great wedding career you're making, every single wedding, how much goes back? Because
Exactly.
while I've had a great 40-year industry, I don't want to do this 40 years more, right? I'm looking at that end, right? Not because I don't love it and passionate, but my body said so. You and I talked a little bit before camera about that. So I want everybody to understand, one of the first things you need to get before you go and get, how do I get my photos published? How do I get this wedding published? Get somebody on your team that can help you keep some of this money for later. Grow your business bank account so that you can serve and support yourself in the future. And if there's something else that happens, it's there. Learn how to take your business, be profitable, but then invest that. Because as I often say, when we do well, we can do good. So you want to take care of your community and do something else along with that. But I really wish I would have known and had somebody on my side early on to help me on the money side about from every wedding, from every job I did, how much goes away. And, which is why I'll be working another 10 years probably, right?
So I think many of us have heard the common term, it's like a buzzword, imposter syndrome.
Yep.
And it's when you experience the feeling of not being sufficient or underqualified, and this fear kind of builds up and it kind of exposes your fraud. But in spite of the external evidence,
right,
there's still that role that you probably are qualified and you just may not feel it yourself. So with that being said, I think everybody can relate to it, because at some point in our lives, we've encountered some job, some task, some responsibility, something, whether it's from school, whether it's in your home or personal life, or it's from a job. We've all experienced it at some point. And what is your thought on the imposter syndrome?
Well, and you're right. It happens just if you go to the grocery store and you're sitting next to a nicer car than you. You're like, well, how come? How come? What are they doing that I'm not? And now we live in this world of social media. But I also want to remind everybody that just because you have 2 million likes or 8,000 followers, that does not have anything to do with who you are as a person. That does not validate your worth as a human being, right? It doesn't validate your bank account probably. And we don't know what goes on behind there. Nobody can do what you do. Nobody can make an impact. Nobody can sell what you sell. Nobody can show up with the same intention and purpose that you have and do. You can have 5 photographers line up the same way and we'll all aim the camera at the same spot. We're going to see something different. Planners come in and can do designing. It's going to be different. You have to really believe in yourself. That is great what they are doing. I need to do what I need to do to grow my business. What is going to make me feel good? Standing in your purpose, walking into your value, those kind of things. And a lot of it is mindset. You cannot worry what the other's doing. Your only competition should be yourself. We've all heard this, Marcy, right?
Oh, yes.
And you're only as good as your last wedding. And when you leave your wedding, leave it there. Because if you're going to a wedding on Saturday and you're dreading going, something along the way is not working out. You should be wanting to go on a Saturday, thrilled to be there, to be doing your own niche finally, where you're not answering the phone or cleaning the toilet. You get to be whatever it is that your nameplate says, right? We talked about that earlier too. So it's hard, but you really just need to take care of yourself. There are so many clients out there that are just waiting for you. They just don't know that they need you yet. So when you show up on social media, be yourself. When you're on your website, let it talk about who you are, not all the things that you can do, but why they should invest with you. What is setting you apart? And what sets you apart is you. You have to embrace
Right.
what makes you fabbo, right? What's the difference? And while and I know that that's cliche, Marcy, I know that we all say that in our industry, but nobody can do what you do. So
Right.
don't spend your energy on that. Don't put your energy there. Just
I
know
mean,
that you are here to do it.
you didn't just get in your field and have the success you've had by luck.
Yeah.
It's not like, you just like stepped in something and they waved a magic wand. I mean, you worked at it, you excelled at it, you thrive at it. And I think it's a way that, we just need to work through it sometimes and don't let anybody put you in that box, so to speak. Be yourself, be authentic.
Right.
And it's funny, I was reading something. They say that I guess it's like 62% of adults experience imposter syndrome. And I found that number to be like, really, it was mind blowing. I mean, that was back from a study back in 2018 from the Access Commercial Financial Group. They found that 62% of them had experienced the imposter syndrome. And the breakdown between men and women was, I think it was 66 and 56%.
Sure.
66% women experienced it and 56% men. And I mean, that's a big ratio, but it's not a significant difference between the two. But yeah, I mean, like we all experience it at some point.
And don't let anybody tell you that, you don't let anybody tell you that they haven't fallen down. I think the generation now that has grown up with just a cell phone in their hand, they only know to look at people on social media, right? Oh, this is what so-and-so is doing. Oh, this is what so-and-so. So now people that are closer to our age, we didn't have that. So now the imposter syndrome for us is, oh my gosh, Susie Smith's got 5 kids and they're all going to college. Oh my gosh, what have I done wrong? So social media is also doing that to us. Social media is also making us doubt ourselves.
Yes. Oh, totally. It's amazing.
If you just show up and do your work, people will see that you're there for the right reason. People will see your passion. People will hear your enthusiasm. And there's more to life than just getting a paycheck, but we need to get the paycheck. But I firmly believe that if you go out there with the right intention and you go out there to serve, which is the industry, we're in a service industry. It just happens to be love. And we're in an industry that should celebrate everybody, right? Just show up and do that and be that person and work will come to you. But don't compare yourself to the 84 weddings that somebody else has or the 24, because you don't know what their life is like on the other side of that. And maybe that's something you don't want. So just be yourself. And struggles and progress. Business growth comes from getting on the other side of difficulty, right? Business growth comes when you have to go through a roadblock. If this path was all clear and we could all just run through it, we wouldn't understand that how to even success to celebrate that win, because we wouldn't know it's a win because it was too easy. So when you have a roadblock or you have a struggle and you get past that, celebrate that win. Celebrate that somebody might have said no to you, because that just means they weren't the right fit for you. That's something else will come along, and you didn't lose that, right? When you win, you win. When you lose, you learn. It's a lesson. I don't believe that we lose clients. We just didn't align. And it's okay to say no to clients, but it hurts, right? It hurts when somebody says, oh, I'm booking you for somebody else. And if they say I'm booking you because they were cheaper, well, that's okay. You still know what you need to do to pay your bills and run your business in a profit that's going to be able to serve you. Because you can't even serve yourself if you're not making any money. You can't serve your family. You can't serve your community. You can't give back if you have nothing. And then the burnout comes in, right, Marcy? Then the burnout comes in. Yes. I'm spinning my wheels and I'm not getting anywhere. Why are you
on that hamster wheel?
Yeah. Then why are you doing this? Go back to a 9-to-5, because when you want to do this on your own, you will be the worst boss you ever worked for yourself. The hardest boss you ever worked for is going to be you. Because
totally. You are very.
Exactly. At 5 o'clock or 5:30, you punch out and go home, and they might text you these days. No, at 10 o'clock, we're sitting here going, and even though we all say, oh, we have boundaries, I have boundaries, I'm not going to text my clients. Here we are texting our clients. So don't tell me that you left your 9-to-5 to come to your side hustle and aren't working less. You'll be the hardest boss to please ever, will be yourself, ever in your whole career.
Yes. Now, with regards to the LGBTQ plus community, and maybe kind of equating it or involving the imposter syndrome. I know that there's a dynamic that goes on there, that that there's been some flux between one another. I have to say, honestly, I was looking at all of the different types of groups of people that there are, and I think I came out with like 36 groups.
Right.
From
Exactly.
that, because there's so much variation that you don't think about all the different aspects. So what would you say about the imposter syndrome and the LGBTQ plus community? I'm like a tongue twister today.
Well, it's like I joke, and it's well known. We're the alphabet mafia. We want to have all the letters. We want to have all the letters, right? The alphabet,
of course.
We want to own them all. And as a member of the LGBTQ plus, I am full-blown lesbian. She, her. Here I am, happily married. I will tell you, I sometimes am confused, right? I'm like, what is it you're asking? What is it you want? And I do have a hard time sometimes because, I am some of those trailblazers. I've been very honored and privileged to have been mentioned in conversations as, Bobbi, you've been here for 40 years and I've never not hid. I've never been in the closet. Every single vendor that works for me, every client, this is me, authentically me. So, and I fought for us to get here. I fought for us to be married. I did all those things, right? And now all of a sudden it's kind of like, well, okay, we just want to make a whole separate group, take it outside the industry, and we don't really want to go with anything the wedding industry is doing, and we want to do everything over here. And I sometimes get asked why the wedding industry doesn't still want to include us. So you talk about imposter syndrome. There's a gay couple that might says, I don't see where I fit. Like, how is a planner going to understand how two gay men need to get married? So then all of a sudden they're like, I'm not worthy of getting married because I'm not seeing it, right? I used to have straight couples say to me, what do you know about getting married? How do you know how to do all the things, right? And so imagine, Marcy, being me, where I have the gay community going, how dare you do straight weddings? And I got the straight community going, how dare you do gay weddings? Guess what? All the money's green and it all goes and works, right? I want to serve all couples. All couples deserve to have their story told, and we all deserve to be married. So in the LGBTQ community, lesbians and gay people all of a sudden are like, I don't see where I fit. I see the industry is trying to welcome us, but I still don't. Where are we? Where are some other gay vendors? Where are some other lesbian vendors? Where are the trans vendors? We still haven't made it totally safe without ridicule. When I mean safe, I mean bullying. I mean, there's another kind of safety. Not a day goes by at a wedding when I'm at. The couples aligns with me. The parents align with me. The values are the same. But there's going to be that one schmuck that is going to call me a faggot, or is going to call me, right? Or is going to walk up to me and say, the only reason you're gay is because you haven't had a true man. You can't control. It happens all the time. You can't control. There are still planners, Marcy, that I had a couple. This just happened. As a matter of fact, I used it in my talk in the Florida, the association, SWFL. I used it. Literally 2 weeks before I got to Central Florida, 2 weeks before I got an email. I literally have two gentlemen who I said, I've worked with this planner in the past. I think they're going to be fine. The other one that I knew was gay friendly, because I really, if you don't like me or who I am, I'm not bringing any clients. It's that simple. All right. I don't need you to love me, but you will respect my clients and the job that I'm doing, because this is not a lifestyle. I didn't choose this. This is who I am.
Exactly.
So the client, the guys went over there and they were talking, and the email came back. Hey, gentlemen, their names. I'm really sorry, but I see you want to work with Bobbi Brinkman. She's a lesbian. We don't work with gay vendors. But yet you want to do the gay client, right? So you talk about imposter syndrome. What am I supposed to do? If I wanted to fall into that, where do I fall? Do you not like me because of me? I want to be hired because I'm the right person for the job. Clients, straight, mixed race, Asian, in a wheelchair, whatever, want to be able to come to a wedding professional and say, we'd like to get married. Can you help us? This is your zone of genius. And I also want to say, for those listening, wedding pros listening, it is okay if you don't know something, because this is history being wrote, right? For years, we have all said bride and groom. You're going to make a mistake and say bride and groom. Couples if we have gay couples listening in, show a little grace. They're not doing it. It's habit. Okay. We need to start taking the word bridal out. We need to start doing those things, and we're working on it. But we also, in the gay community, can't sit there and go, until you change that, I'm not coming. I don't feel welcome there because you don't acknowledge me. This is new. We haven't been able to get married that long. Wedding pros do want to help. And the ones that don't, please just say you don't. Don't make a big deal out of it. Just say you don't. Just, no, I'm not going to serve you today, whatever. And gay couples, let's not be so quick to run to court because they don't want to bake a cake, right?
Actually, you just brought up a great point, because I always wonder, like, with that cake issue, why is it that they were so gung-ho that they needed to sue for the cake? Honestly, why don't you just take your business to somebody who wants it?
And did you go to that cake factory ever before? Did you go to that baker ever before?
I mean, I'm Jewish. If I go to somewhere and they don't like Jewish people, I'm not going to give them my business, you know?
No, and I don't need to. I mean, I understand we're trying to do equality, but that's part of the imposter syndrome. I don't feel like I fit in, so I'm going to make a lot of noise so that you see me. But if you see me, do I still fit in? Does it make me feel better? We just have to be welcoming and open. And if you don't understand or know, I mean, you're going to say, oh, I have two brides. Which one goes down the aisle? You know, do we have non-gender bathrooms? No, we have a male and a female. Well, what's going to happen? And so we are moving forward in a world where you will have a heterosexual couple, but you may have two non-binary people, right? Non-binary people that are just guests. Where would you like them to go? So we have to start thinking bigger and be prepared. Just like we used to think about when we started, we never really thought that we're going to have barn weddings, and now we have barn weddings everywhere. We never thought about, weddings will be under the tent, right? We have to keep involved. Like vegan food. How many caterers, you know that?
Yes. They were like, what do you mean you're vegan? I've never heard of that, you know?
Exactly. So
when people first started doing it, you know?
Exactly. We have to adapt. And so the imposter syndrome is when you don't feel welcome somewhere, you immediately think you're not worthy. When you aren't feeling, if you don't see you're accepted, you're not worthy. I have always wanted to be that female lesbian photographer so that other lesbian photographers can go, oh my gosh, I can do that. And I want, even if you have to bring your own damn chair to the table, bring it and sit. But everybody just scoot over a little bit. Let's get a bigger table, or scoot over and let's make some room. Because I believe in that. If I see you, I can be you. I believe that if lesbian photographers see that I'm making a living by photographing straight brides, and nobody says to me, don't be in the room, Bobby, because you're gay. Never has that happened to me. That's never happened to me. I will tell you that they have said, I'll take Bobby over some creepy guy all the time. But nobody's ever said no to me as a client for being gay, but I have been told no from the industry. But no client has ever said no to me. So imposter syndrome, you're not liking who I am. How do I get over that? I have to believe that I am the right person for this job. Our lesson, our seasons are being together. It's over. It's done. We don't need to move forward. You live your life. I live mine. But I'm not bringing you clients, right? And don't bring me your clients, because we just don't like. You have to be safe and secure in doing that. Be professional. When you're out mixing and at networking, hello, how are you? But I don't need to be your best friend. I don't need to help you if you don't approve of me. I cannot let that self-doubt come into me, because I stand authentically, unapologetically, chubby, 59-and-a-half-year-old woman coming to you with a speech impediment. This is who I am. Oh, and by the way, I'm gay, which is so far down on the list of how I describe myself.
Exactly. Oh, yes, totally. I mean, it's just, I think that, you know, as we're moving forward in the associations or in the industry, I think that there is some education going on with that and so forth. But you're right. I think it's going to take some time. I think that, you know, people are so used to doing things in a certain way. And sometimes the mindset just takes more time. It's kind of like when you're on a diet and you want to stop smoking, or you want to do something. It takes time to make it a habit. Right. And I think that, you know, when you're not doing it every single day, like, you know, when you're eating, it's every single day. But when you're not encountering the situations every day, it might just take a little bit more than 21 days, which is a typical, you know, way to retrain. but it's just people just need to kind of get to that point where, we are a society that is changing, it's evolving, and we need to accept that there are, everybody is different from one another. Right. We're not all the same. And that, honestly, that's what makes us great, is that we can embrace each other. We can build from one another. We can learn from one another. And, if you're stuck in a group or in a society where you don't have mixes and so forth, how do you learn?
Right.
And
that's the key. And if you don't know, you just, if a couple reaches out to you and they say, my partner is a man, my partner is a woman, my partner is transitioning, your answer should be back, welcome. How can I best serve you? Let's have a conversation. Just like, because if somebody comes to you and says, hi, I'm Steve, and this is my fiance, Karen, and we don't know where we're going to get married, but we know we want to do somewhere where it's going to be nighttime. Immediately, we start diving in. So you might not know exactly what to say, but you need to say, thank you. Let's talk more about this. What is your vision? What is it that you're wanting? And let me help you bring that to life.
Right. Because ultimately they're doing the same thing that any other couple are doing. They're doing the same exact thing. They're getting married. They're marrying the person they love. And, why is it, what is the barrier holding you back? And I just think, you got to give yourself some grace, but you got to give yourself permission to life. And, and you learn from your mistakes. Sometimes, you do make those fumbles. Right. I made it today. I couldn't even spit out the word.
Right. Well, and I'm always going, hey guys, welcome. Now, when I'm talking on stage, I really try to say ladies and gentlemen and non-binary, but it's also just to say, hey, friends. But I grew up where it's, hey guys, I'm also the sports photographer. So it's, hey guys, but now that's hard. For me, queer. When I was in high school, that was on the side of my car. We were going down to the bars, because the bars are always in the worst part of the neighborhood. They would throw bottles at you and say, queers, get out of here. We don't want you queers. And now this generation has embraced queer. But for me, it's a trigger. Oh my gosh. Why would you want to be called that? This generation has reclaimed it. That's what we do in life. We come and we evolve, and the next generation, if you've done your job right and given them the tools and you said, reach out and be yourself, I'm all for that. When you ask your kids, what do you want to be when you grow up? Just teach them to be kind.
Exactly. Oh my gosh.
So let's just lead with kindness, right? Lead with kindness, lead with empathy. And if you want to serve the LGBT community, you want to serve the Black community, you want to really want to have D&I, just be willing to say, okay, let's go on this path together. I have the expertise at XYZ. What's your vision? And go down the path together. Don't fault yourself. Don't say you're not worthy of it. Same with couples coming in. We have to understand that this is who we are. It's hard to be gay in this world. It's hard to be Black in this world. It's hard to be Jewish. It's hard to be it's hard in this world. Believe in yourself. Believe in your purpose and stand your ground, and you will have a profitable and purposeful business that's inclusive, because all three will marry together, right?
We have a new guest here.
Hello,
my co-host. Hi. It's Brooke. Hello, Brooke.
Hello. Hi, ladies. I actually was stuck in traffic on my way home, so I got to hear most of the show.
Oh, you did? Good.
Yes, so probably a good thing I wasn't live. I will say, me and our special guests have a lot of the same views on a lot of the same things.
Yes, good. Thank you.
And actually, I want to ask you, because you mentioned something to me and I didn't know this. I must have missed it. You said you were in you did sports photography before you got into the wedding scene?
Yes, that's what I did. I broke into my photography, and Brooke will love this. I went by my initials, BJ, because I was told if I was a guy, I would freaking be able to get in there, right? So I was like, okay, 17 to 18, I wanted to apply to be the team photographer. I went with BJ. Let's bring it down to what BJ really stands for. I was probably so stupid thinking to run into that, doing that, right? So then fast forward, and I was getting the jobs, and I was getting the jobs, and I walked in, and they were like, wait, you're the photographer? You're the one that did this? How does a woman know how to do this, right? So I tell this story a lot. When I was in Minnesota getting ready to do for a professional hockey team, they had said the new team photographer's here, and it's headshot day, right? Headshot day. Brooke might know where I'm going with this. Headshot day, right? Here we go. So they go, okay, we see it's a woman. So they came in with just their jerseys on with nothing. So their whole package is hanging out. So within moments, I said, y'all, I didn't bring my zoom lens. So this is right?
Shut it down before it even starts.
Exactly. So that equates over to being able, that's why I'm all about moments, capturing the moments. But that equates over in you just have to believe in yourself. And as an industry, you are going to accept our community coming in. You want to grow and have weddings. There's a lot of weddings we can bring, but until we start feeling comfortable, until we start seeing more trans to more non-binary, but we also understand that we can't show that work if we're not being trusted to show that work. So we have to figure out how to do that together. We have to figure out a way to have everybody feel safe to contact us. Then we have to have publications that are going to be willing to show all the weddings again. It's like we've come full circle. Okay, well, now we're going to show gay weddings. Oh, wait, now we have to show trans weddings? Wait, what do you mean we have to show non-binary weddings? We need to show everybody getting married, regardless. Fat, chubby, skinny, bald, wheelchair, whatever. We just need to show everybody.
Love is love.
Married. Exactly.
There's so many labels out, which I think is like, I mean, it's twofold because it's great, but it's a lot. And
Right.
it's, you know, so which I don't know, because I guess I'm so old school and being a trans woman myself, it's like, wow, we've come from 3 things to like 30 some, you know, which
Alphabet
is great.
Mafia. You get my Alphabet Mafia, right, Brooke?
Yes, I tuned in. What was soon? I think I was like at 2:06. I finally was able to log in and YouTube at least watch it on my way home. So I was like, wow. I'm like, and I'm starting to talk like I'm on the show. And I'm like, girl, you're not plugged in yet. Calm down, gal. Calm down, gal. You'll get there. Just drive faster. So yeah, and as far as like, and I'll just get on the soapbox for a hot second. Marcy, by the way, unbelievable job. Just so you know.
Thank you.
I am, I guess, call me white privileged, I guess, because with the fact that I am transgendered, I work for, like, in my eyes, the most highly decorated wedding planner on the planet to me, right? He's got his shelves, and we're going on year 4. I'm a trans woman. I asked Keith, I'm like, what would you do if somebody, one of the clients, you know, I showed up, I mean, I'm a lot of very day of, so very seldomly do I get involved too much beforehand, as far as meeting them and whatnot. So he said, girl, we'd be out. I already got the check and we're gone. I'm like, oh, I would be like, that's fine, cute, don't lose your coins, but like, you're paying me, so right? He's like, no, honey, pack it, we're peeling. I was like, wow, because I didn't expect that, and that was so cool, you know. And this was in the very, very first 2 months of our partnership and working together and whatnot. So it was a blessing in disguise. Like, he's so awesome, and the world's been super great. You know, not every single, you know, girl has my story. I have a rough one to start too, but this is hope too. Like, I feel like I'm seen and I'm heard, but I also just feel like I'm a normal human being that's been labeled something. I don't, you know, walk around like that with my mindset. I'm just a girl trying to make $1 and make people happy.
That way. You don't, that's not what hi, I'm Brooke. You don't do that. And so I get the compliment a lot from the industry. Well, there might be an LGBTQ panel, and I'll be in the audience like, well, Bobby, how come you're not up there? And people will say, other well-known educators will say, oh shit, that's right. You know, Bobby, we don't even think he was a lesbian. So I've done my job so damn well that you don't think I'm a lesbian anymore.
There you go. That part. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. That's funny. So as we evolve into the next space of moving forward, coming out of the pandemic, where do you see things going now? Do you think it's getting any better? Do you think it's still the same as before the pandemic?
I think it's definitely growing. And one of the things I really see is so many people opening up small venues. I see a lot of wedding planners that are going, you know what, not so much the wedding planning business, but here's a little spot, here's a little venue. I can own the venue and be a small wedding planner for small weddings. So I'm seeing a lot across the country of little wedding venues opening up that are going to be at that 100 or less. And let's face it, one of the problems we have with the boom is there's not enough places to get married because a lot of people did not stay. They decided, hey, I'm done with this. I can't wait 2 years. I'm being sued every day left and right because I'm not giving the damn money back. Read the contract, right? But I don't need the grief. So I'm seeing that. And I love to see that. But I also think that we're going to have micro weddings. I think this is going to be at least the next 4 or 5 years. Then I think the big Catholic weddings will come back. But think about it. Depending on what market you're in, the big Catholic weddings are still happening in the big Catholic churches. You may just have not everybody going to the church, but they might not be going to the reception. So you're splitting it. But I think the days of me building my career of 600 people, those days are gone. I don't think we're going back to that for a while. So I think that's a big shift.
I agree. I think that I don't think the humongous weddings like the 400 and up are as much as they used to be. I think it's, definitely
I think they're booking weekends. I think we're having I know I have 2 or 3. When I go to New Orleans, I'm with them for 3 days. So they're having a pre-party, the wedding, and then the after party. And there's 60 people. But the equate of it is the same amount of money as a big wedding, but it is a weekend of experience, and they're paying their vendors to be there the whole time. And that's what it's about. And I think we're going to see a lot more of that because I think people will go to smaller cities, smaller destinations, and doing that. I think we're still about a year away from people traveling for the big weddings, or at least the bigger destination markets. I know Mexico's coming back, and I see a lot in the Caribbean, but I think that's going to take us a while to get traveling over there because I think people are just like, why do I go over and spend all that money? No guests are going to come and leave the country. So, or the fear of getting back.
And I think too, COVID is we had to, and Marcy, this show is a perfect prime example is we had to shift and kind of move and this all of a sudden everything was shutting down. We were shutting down. And it's what do we do? How do we move forward?
Right.
And everybody did. So I think there's so many new ideas and technology.
Technology.
I think that's shifting. I think that if I'm gonna, be a little psychic, Miss Cleo. Well, maybe not a good reference. She's taking a nap. I think that because with the technology, I think people are, I think that's going to start adjusting itself into into a new wave of how things are being done. I think with wedding, the handling of the whole situation with it. And I do think you're still going to have that client that wants the big deals and the big shebangs that we do. And then you're going to have that select that, have thought about, maybe a more intimate setting, smaller people, budget wise and stuff like that. I think we're going to get a little bit of both still after.
Yeah, I agree. I think we are. I mean, I see, in the mid 100 right now, I see a lot of that. And then I also see in the 60, well, they're inviting, I say 60, they're inviting 60 invitations, which is 120 people, but they're still, what they're doing is they're pampering their guests. Right. I mean, they are pulling out all the stops. And I think that's the shift that I'm seeing. They're going for the menu, doing the minuet card at the table. They're doing all these little things that the details that people see, I mean, people come in when they see something that they don't they're not used to seeing, it's not your old cookie cutter wedding anymore. It's exciting because it's well, what does that couple bring? Because every couple is different.
Celebrating not being together for a while too, right? But the other thing too is we in the industry are dealing with the shortages and struggles. I mean, just for instance, this weekend, the DJ company is I've got 17 vans and the gas price is down here over the $5 mark. So he's eating probably $600 just to get that isn't there, right? And the shortage of linens. Down here, our dress boutique companies can't get the dresses. So I think we're going to see this for a while. And then whatever this inflation stuff does. So everybody needs to understand that we as wedding pros are going to be raising our prices. We are going to have to charge more, not to make up for 2020, because now this is eating into us. And it's things that we can't control. And that's the
food, flowers, linens, all the things. I just had this conversation today about the when you have to so many parties have been postponed on the catering side of the stuff that I do. And they still want us to honor the old original price. Well, that's when hot dogs were $2,
Right.
for instance, and now they're $6. Like
Right.
gas price, like
Exactly.
my little 13-gallon car, $66 to fill it up yesterday. It's
Yep.
what used to cost
Yep.
40.
Yep.
It's not like you said, it's not like we're trying to make up for what we've lost. This is just what it is now
Right.
to
And the clients see
survive.
that. See, so the fact that they're experiencing it, you would think they go, I understand it cost me $75 to get here. Well, no, you already built. And so again, that goes back to when I said, I think vendors are afraid to charge too far out, because the weddings we have now, booked 8 months or so ago, you didn't put in, gas. I think now we're going to start seeing everybody. There's a 20% surcharge that may be incurred by the time we get to your wedding, because we don't know if milk is going to be $99 or if it's going to be $9, right? Or the hot dogs are $6, but still come with a $4 not enough
I'll
buns,
bring
and
the
you gotta buy
cow.
2. Exactly.
Exactly.
I'll just bring the cow.
Totally.
It might be cheaper.
Exactly. Just bring the cow in and we'll have a buffet, right? Whole different kind of wedding.
Well, and I think integrity, if you keep it intact, like I've said a million times on the show, don't be greedy, pigs get slaughtered. So people that have the same mindset as I do, I think they're okay, because those are the people that I call them repeat offenders. They're trusted and they understand, that client understands that and sees it. The shift of that are going to be those people. I'm like, well, look inside yourself first, because if you're seeing that way too much, then that's probably something more to do with you than anything that I'm trying to talk to you about, to be honest.
And if you're gonna start nickel and diming at that point, it's crazy. Or it's our fault that somebody didn't come. And I've heard that at weddings. So see, as a photographer, I have 2 more left that are hangovers for 2020. And the whole time you're at the wedding, well, these aren't my original flowers. Then I had to get these flowers, but there weren't any white roses, so my florist had to do this. Or this isn't the space I was going to get married in, because they remodeled and took their PPP money. And I'm like, the whole time I'm with them, there's not a single photo I'm going to take that they're going to like, because all they see is the problem in that photo. They see, this is how my day is now, and it wasn't supposed to be. And as a photographer who's giving you something to last for generations, you're just bitching about it. And that's the part I'm like, shut up. We're getting married. What is it? Or they're already married 2 years ago, and now they're still complaining. Why are you still going through with this? Buy a damn house and let's move on. Right? That'll get people pissed off right now. Here comes every wedding planner going, Bobbi, I can't believe you said that. But it's true. It's true.
But I just think that people just need to relax a little bit and realize that, sometimes things are out of our control. We don't have, the magic wand. We don't have a crystal ball to some, decisions for down the road and so forth. I mean, in my area, we're still having major shortages with paper. The paper mills were shut down for a good period of time, and to get them back in, and then they have to close whenever somebody was getting COVID or something, they had to shut them down again. So, I mean, it's like every day is a new story, and it's like I could put in an order today, and then tomorrow they may be out of the paper because somebody right before you used it. What was that?
Or would it even be delivered? You might put it in. It's like, well, it'll take 9 days to get here now because whatever.
Right. I mean, and I do get a lot of calls last minute. It's to me. I mean, I think that the one thing that, and I think that maybe the underrated tool for me, and I'm going to say this is that, and I want you guys to think about your underrated tool. I think the underrated tool for me is that if I could advise somebody to think ahead and plan ahead, I think that's the biggest tool that you can have, because that's what's going to put you in the driver's seat. If without planning ahead, I mean, I still get calls for last minute invitations and so forth. And is about to crash. Do you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, you're back.
Okay, sorry.
I was looking at Bobbi to see, like, okay, is it just me? Because Martha's crashing the
I
time.
have a feeling. It was about to shut down. Yeah. So anyway,
I can hear you now.
No, I was just saying that, I mean, I think that the biggest tool that we have is ourselves, and talking about the the movement of accepting, and so forth. I think the biggest thing that you have in your own arsenal is plan ahead. Don't wait last minute to do, especially wedding. It's, you know, it's your most important day, and you want to make sure that you're planning ahead to get what you want.
Right.
But obviously we need to be flexible. It's the society that we are in these days is not going to change anytime soon. It could be okay for a moment, and then it could change in the next hour. So we do need to be mindful that, you know, as wedding pros, we all try to do the best that we can with the tools that we have. And I think that's probably the underrated tool that I can say to somebody, you know, like, use your tool of. So what would you say to that, Bobbi?
No, and I think trust your gut. I think if something's telling you that something is not right, it's not right. But explain to your clients that you hired me for a reason. I do know what I'm doing, so let me do my job. And I think we're seeing a few more of those out. I think we now see couples that maybe doubt, like, I know we get a lot more. I want to make sure I see the refund policy because I read everywhere that y'all don't give any money away. All right, well, we don't, right? This is why the contract's there, you know. But we have to be able to stand, trust your gut, and if something doesn't seem right, don't move forward on it or move backward from it, and know that you're not perfect. And that, see, I'm not that person that says this is the best day ever. I think waking up the next day is pretty damn good, right? So you don't have to be saying this is the best day ever, right? Because why do that to ourselves? But you have to enjoy the day. And as a wedding professional, all I can do is show up. You have my word, I'm going to be there. I'm excited to be there. The path, the journey, the experience you've had with me up to get there, I've done everything that I can do. The rest is the universe. But also work with wedding pros that have that same stance that you do, that equally want us all to succeed together for a great day and offer that experience. That's a tool that we need to really listen to as wedding pros. We have to trust our guts and listen and stand firm in executing that.
I also think too, because this is going to go back a few moments when, you know, you have your couples, your bride, your groom. I'm not going to label it couples. We'll just say couples.
Right.
And they're upset about flower shortages, or they can't have this invitation on this paper that you know, Marcy can do, or this flower. I think, you know, and it's frustrating. I completely get it, but I also think that, well, someone in my position or Keith's position is like the wedding planner itself. It's like, talk to that person, the bride, the groom, the couple. Be like, instead of focusing on what you can't do, focus on what we can do to still even make this possible to even have this day. And I think if you can kind of do a refresh and a restart in their mind, I think that will help you kind of navigate through the rest of planning the wedding with all the vendors and all the moving parts to just kind of work in harmony a little bit better. Guess I do so get that it's frustrating, but this is what it is. So if you can kind of reset the mind a little bit, like, okay, so let's focus on what we can do.
Exactly.
And I think that will help both the couple and the wedding planner and the vendor
100%.
immensely.
Right.
They gotta trust you. They trust you. Let's trust
that. Yes.
And then I trust you, because if you don't trust me, how do I trust you? Right. And I have to trust the planners to put all this together. And see, I don't do a wedding without a planner. So my questionnaires always say, hey, I don't need your major timeline. I'm going to go off the wedding planner. We've already discussed. They know to give me enough time for photos, but I'm not cutting into the caterer's time. And if the makeup person is running 4 hours late, the wedding planner is going to go say, Bobby's going to kick your ass. You better get going because now you're cutting into Bobby's time. Right?
Yes, she will.
I have to trust. That's why you're there. And when you have a team like that, and I just think clients need to understand, if you want us to trust you, you've got to trust us. Because why do I want to do this if the day's going to suck? I don't want to do. I'm here
because then it's
exactly.
Your job flips from this is going to be fabulous to what did I get myself into?
Exactly.
This is going to be horrible. I have a wedding on Saturday, and my bride, she's amazing. We're doing a little kind of combo DIY kind of thing, you know. And I was like, and that's it. I'm like, you have to trust me. I know what I'm doing. You've hired essentially the best. So, and she's so grateful, and I'm so grateful of it. She's become a really dear friend, and it's like now you understand exactly everyone I'm telling you. And she was like, oh my God, you need to get a wedding planner, because I'm doing so much as it is. I can just imagine trying to do all of it.
Right.
And I'm like, so
now you understand.
Planners are much needed.
Very much so. There was actually just an article, I think It was in Martha Stewart talking about like why it's so important to, to have a wedding planner, because it's just, I mean, especially these days, and moving forward, it's going to be like this for years.
Right.
So, having a wedding planner in your arsenal is key.
Especially now trying to navigate through all of the different things and the moving parts. You definitely want a wedding planner now, but trying to do that on yourself is
why do you want to spend all that
chaotic.
money and go, oh, let me just do this? When you go to buy a car, you either go to a car dealer or you go to Vroom now and it's delivered to you, whatever other commercial we see out there. But you actually have done your research. And if that car doesn't work, you get upset about it. So why you have somebody to complain? Why would you want to spend $500, $500,000, $5 million on a day and go, I think I'm just going to do this all by myself? Why?
Nope. I bought a new car 7 months ago and I went to the dealership.
Exactly.
I picked out the car online and then I went to the dealership.
Right. I don't want to do all the things to be able to drive the damn car, And on that note, when you buy a brand new car and you treat it beautifully, remember to treat yourself that way too. Remember to put enough care in yourself. It goes back to, am I good enough? I'm good enough to drive that car because I'm good enough to do my job. I have to take care of myself, so I'm good enough to myself.
And when you look good, you feel good.
Exactly.
When you feel good, you look good, right?
Well, I'll never look as good as you, Brooke. This lesbian ain't going to clean up that well.
Oh, man.
Don't say
Brooke
that.
looks beautiful today.
Oh, thank you.
Her makeup is always spot on. I'm telling you.
I love
Now, that's one thing when I talk, people never write in the comments, what shade of makeup are you wearing, Bobby? What's that? Never happens. I never get that comment.
Oh, you're so kind.
Oh, my gosh. So I wanted to say thank you, Bobbi Brinkman, for coming on our show today. We really enjoyed having you. And Keith will be back next week. And
enjoy your cruise. We miss you.
Exactly.
Yes, we miss you. We know that you're going to see this eventually.
He's probably watching right now. Or maybe not.
Oh, wait.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Brooke, for coming on today.
Yes, I may have broke the law for you a little bit because
I know. She's like, I'm speeding home right now.
Stay at work and do this. And my boss was like, no, you're going home. I want to leave. We have construction.
Exactly.
So next
I'm glad I was able to make it.
Good.
Next week, we're going to have Kelly Ann Peck of Emerson Reese Creative, and she's going to be here talking about selling during a wedding boob and how to stand out. So that should be very interesting as well. So everybody say goodbye for now, and thank you very much, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks,
Goodbye.
everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.